Hi and hello watch fans, and welcome to another edition of the Real Time Show with me, your host, your friendly neighborhood watchmaker Rob Nuds, here on site at Villa Sarasan at the Time to Watchers event. I'm here with Mark and Paul from Tsar Bomba to discuss one of the most bombastic brands that we have showing today in Geneva. Guys, welcome to the studio.
Thanks, Rob. Lovely to be here.
Now, you have got one of the most visually arresting watches on your wrist that I've seen so far. Will you please talk us through the piece you have with you today?
Well, this piece here from Tsar Bomba is from our Atomic collection. It does look like it's rather inspired by other famous brands, but this is all us. What makes this so fun and interesting, apart from the very accessible price point and the quality of the movement, the finishing, and so forth, is the interchangeability aspect. So for anybody looking to have just one watch and yet complete a watch wardrobe, this is fantastic because you can change out the strap, the buckle, or the déployant. You can change out the bezels, and they're everything from rubber to stainless steel to carbon fiber to ceramic, and you can even change out the crowns to sort of mix and match your socks. So whatever you want to do. So what's really nice for the watch enthusiast is that he's got a watch wardrobe with just one watch head. And from the retailer point of view, it's great because with the same brand, you have your own cross sale or add-on sale, if you will.
You're going to have to just explain to our listeners a little bit further about that crown because it'll be scaring people. So how does it work? How is it water resistant?
The water resistance is 100 meters on these pieces. The movement in this piece is a Miyota. And it's just it's not even a screw-down crown. It's not necessary. But what we have here is, with interchangeability, it's quite easy to remove the pieces. Two buttons pressed simultaneously, release the bezel. And then with the crown, we just simply push in and turn toward ourselves, and it quite easily unscrews, and you can change those out. And there's a quick release button on the back of the straps, which allows you to change them in and out of the watch head. So it's really, once you get the hang of it, it's super easy to use, and it's kind of fun. And believe it or not, a lot of people, when I've worn this watch at Formula One or the PGA golf tournament, despite the other sponsors, people have been reaching out and grabbing my wrist saying, hey, what is that you're wearing there, and where can I buy it? So we've had a great response to it. Just organically, it's been a lot of fun to watch how people react to it.
Now, you said earlier that to many people that might look like it's inspired by another brand, which you didn't name, but let's name it for the sake of being open and transparent. Richard Mille is the brand that people might mention when they look at that watch, but you are far from a one-trick pony and not an emulator at all. It's entirely your own stuff. It's your way of doing things. Tell us what else the brand offers.
Well, we have several other collections and across a range of prices. So if it's just a beginner collector, you can come in for as little as, say, $220 US, up to about $400. But where the brand gets really interesting, I think, and where it's most clever is when you enter into the range, which is interchangeable. And now you're talking about $650 to about $1,500 US. The 5 collections include the Elemental, the Atomic, which you've seen here. We have the Neutron, the reactor piece, which I should have brought with me because you would have said that looks inspired as well. And our latest collection, which is our own unique DNA, is called the Dark Matter collection. And there's 5 iterations, some of them with Celita movements and the others with the Miyota movements. Noteworthy to say that our brand ambassador is Rafa Marquez, the famous defender from Barca. And he's currently the assistant coach of the Mexican national selection. So he's going to be with us for the next 3 years. And, his go-to watch is the Dark Matter. So indeed, we have 5 watches in the collection. We're not a one-trick pony. And I think we have something, if you like a sporty fashion type watch, then we've got something for you.
Interesting. When did you launch the Dark Matter collection?
Dark Matter came out when, Paul?
Last year, yeah. Middle of last year.
It sounds very funny for me to say because I don't know if you know, I'm a co-owner of a Danish brand called Arcanaut, and we have a model line called Dark Matter, but it's spelled D''ARC. It's the first 2 letters of the brand. It's the first time I've ever actually said to somebody else, when did you launch your Dark Matter models? It sounds very, very odd. But good to hear there's more Dark Matter in the world. It's a wonderful name and a wonderful idea. Rafa Marquez, so you must have some dealings with Mexico to be so close to one of the Mexican team's greatest ever players.
Well, I'll tell you about that and how that works out. First of all, I'm a Welshman with an American accent.
Get out of town.
So I'm from Llanelli, my friend. So, yeah. And I've been in Mexico for 32 years, 20 in Cozumel and 12 in Mexico City, but I have a watch distribution company there. And I met the CEO of Tsar Bomba, Stephen Lan, a couple of years ago. A good friend and an ex-colleague of mine is a distributor for the Caribbean and travel retail. So he's worked very well over the last couple of years to develop the Caribbean island penetration as well as the cruise ship market, which is quite strong, especially for North American travelers. And through Andrew Jones, I met Stephen, and we've talked a little bit. I provided some market intel about Mexico and Latin America in general. We went back and forth. I invited them to Mexico City to the big watch expo, the Tsar, and they asked me if I'd be interested to work with a company. At the time, I couldn't because I had a temporal conflict. But then they said, well, would you be interested to work with us as a consultant in terms of running our business development for the region, for Latin America? And that's how I came into it. But yes, I've been in the Latin American market since 1991, actually. So it's been a while, and I've had time to build a nice portfolio of contacts and some market insight, cultural sensitivity, and that's how we came together. So we're launching in the region now. Our strategy for Mexico is to launch monobrand boutiques, and there's a solid reason behind that. It gives the brand more immediate visibility, a place for watch enthusiasts to interact with the brand and kind of enjoy that whole aspect of interchangeability, which is really our DNA. And it obviously will put us at a future date in a better negotiation position. So when we do go to independent jewelers, when we go to the department stores, we're coming with a known brand that has recognition, acceptance, demand, and obviously that works out in terms of our business much better.
Ah, incredible story. I'm still perplexed by the American accent. Where did that come from?
My father got a job with General Motors in 1963, and we packed up and shipped across the pond, as they say.
So where were you working? Up in Detroit or?
No, first Toronto and then north of Buffalo, New York.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. Do you get back to Wales very often?
Once a year.
Once a year?
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful. Very nice.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a Welsh-inspired Bomba as well? You can do like a drag.
Oh, yeah, we'd like to do the Dragoch, but I don't know if we're going to put out the Red Dragon or not yet.
How many languages do you speak?
Several.
I picked up on that. You pronounce every word in its native language, it would seem. Like it was interesting. Your pronunciation of myota, as I would say, was almost native.
Well, thanks for that. I don't know. I just, always, my father was quite a traveler and regaled us with stories of travel, adventure, bar fights, and women, and all the rest of that.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought the
reason why we all got into watchmaking.
Yeah, right. I thought to myself, I'd like to be a man of the world myself. So I just had that curiosity about different places and cultures, and maybe assimilated those intonations or
You must have found your place in Mexico, though, to have stayed in that region for so long.
It's a brilliant place, to tell you the truth. I mean, there's so much to see and do there. But Mexico City itself, apart from being the largest city in the Western Hemisphere, is it's just a great international city. It's filled with digital nomads and expats now. A lot of hip, older neighborhoods. A lot of people say that it reminds them of Madrid, for example.
Mm.
I live in a neighborhood called the Colonia Roma, and every block you walk, there's beautiful architecture, shops, cafes, restaurants. It's fascinating, and it's lively, and you can never be bored in that city. So I would say it's a top spot. Generally, when people come for the first time, they're a little bit worried because they've watched too much of those series on Netflix and whatnot. But once they come, I mean, they're basically slack-jawed, and they're like, I had no idea how sophisticated this place was. So apart from being a place that's just culturally fascinating in terms of, start with the food, the history, the culture, the architecture, design, it's all stellar. But what people don't know also is that we have a very important watch enthusiast market. And despite the relative poor performance of some markets last year, Mexico enjoyed, I believe, a 24% year-on-year growth in terms of Swiss watch exports.
24%?
It was massive. And, it's always been a great opportunity market. But what I tell to people that haven't been there yet, you don't know what you don't know. You've got to come and see it. I highly recommend the Tsar, which is the Salón Internacional de Alta Relojería. It would be the equivalent of the SIHH in French. And they do it every year in the middle of October at the St. Regis, Mexico City. It hosts between about 50 to 60 brands. And what makes it unique is that there's a confluence of the press, the brands, subsidiaries, distributors, retailers, and all of their VIP customers. And so it's quite a unique experience. It's for 3 days. It's a scintillating place to be. It's where everything's moving and shaking. And they do a smaller edition in June at the Four Seasons Hotel called the Summer CR. And that's just for the independent distributors. So none of the big groups are there in the summer. And it gives a chance for the smaller brands to get a bit more exposure and attention.
Incredible stuff. It's recently dropped on my radar because of Arkonaut, the brand that I own in Denmark, because I co-own in Denmark, because someone came to us from Sierra and asked us if we'd like to partake. And I'd heard whisperings, not to the level of 24% growth year on year, but I'd heard that the two biggest emerging markets in the world right now were India and Mexico for luxury watches. Why is that happening? What's happening in Mexico socioeconomically that's facilitating that? Or is it a cultural shift? Are people becoming more comfortable with buying expensive objects? Tell me what's going on.
I think the luxury market in Mexico has always been robust, but it's been discreet as well because you don't really want to flaunt your wealth there. It's better to, keep it on the down low. But even before the phenomenon of nearshoring and so forth, there's always been a lot of affluent consumers. If you come to Mexico City and walk the high street, which is called Avenida Mazarik, you will see all of the Tony marquee brands from around the world. And there's always been recognition and appreciation for those fine things. So it's not surprising to me. But again, I've been there for a long time. And for those who haven't ever been, as I said, you don't know what you don't know. But anybody should come and will be pleasantly surprised by everything they do see. So coming full circle to the Mexico question you asked me earlier, about Rafa Marquez, as it turns out that one of our investment partners from Mexico is the owner of about 20 car agencies or car dealerships, as you'd call them in the UK. And he became a big fan of the brand. And turns out that he's a friend and golf partner with Rafa Marquez, rubs elbows with Checo Perez, who we hope comes back next season to Formula One. But, he was able to leverage his contacts and his financial strength to join forces with us and employ this strategy to open the monobrand boutiques. And I think that's absolutely a brilliant way to go because, to be honest with you, and what I'll tell any brand is if you want to come to Mexico, prepare yourselves to have a marketing budget because you need to give a little bit of love. You need to make some noise in the marketplace. Why? Obviously, you want to educate the consumer, excite them a bit about, what's going on. But you also need to demonstrate confidence to the retailers in the country. And that will, later bring them along to also invest in your brand. But, to just think you're going to come into Mexico, even though you've got a great brand and you're going to drop it into a pretty vitrine in a pretty store, it's just not the formula. It's very difficult. And you've got to be able to invest. It's that simple. But if you do, Mexico is an exceptional opportunity market for brands, starting from sport fashion all the way through to the mid-range, and especially, I believe, for the the high watchmaking, for the haute horlogerie.
Are you going to do a Rafa Marquez special edition?
We already have. Actually, it's the Dark Matter 4. Is that correct?
I was going to say, you used to wear number 4, didn't you?
Yeah.
He was one of my favorite players when I was a kid.
Is he really? Well, that's great.
Well, because he's an absolute brute. My favorite player of all time was Roy Keane. Just to give you an idea of the kind of player. So like these tough defensive enforcers, no nonsense, ponytail flowing behind him. Yeah, great in the air. Brilliant player. Love it.
Yeah, no, I think we're really excited. It gives the brand definitely a lot more visibility and I think, globally relevance because, he played for Barca, for Barcelona. And I think people take note of that. They're like, oh, I didn't know, especially when the Mexican press comes by or Mexican retailers and they see that, they're very pleasantly surprised. So it was a great score. We're really pleased to have Rafa.
I mean, I don't know a huge amount about the Mexican national team, but I would wager that if he is not the most capped player, he must be one of the most capped players of all time because he was around for ages, wasn't he? And he's an icon in Mexico. So.
Yeah, he's definitely a big hero for us. And
congratulations.
Thanks.
So tell us a little bit more about what's coming on the watch side of things.
Well, here at Time to Watches, the Villa Saracen, we have launched some novelties. We've launched and Paul, you're going to correct me here if I make a mistake,
Okay.
but we've come out with, for the Atomic Collection, we've come out with a full ceramic and the full ceramic edition, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. And for the dark matter, we've come out with a full carbon fiber edition, both of those retailing at?
Yeah. This server is called the Electron.
The Electron. I'm sorry. That's correct. The Electron in the full carbon fiber. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Design cues from the dark matter, but it's a featherweight Miyota movement. It's an absolutely gorgeous watch. If you put it on your wrist, you'll be awestruck. And the U.S. retail on both of those is 2,000.
Yeah.
2,000 U.S.
Yeah.
So definitely stop by the stand if you have a chance. You're more than welcome, and come and have a peek. I know for sure you'll be pleasantly surprised, and you'll enjoy playing around with the watches. As a side note, I'm a veteran. Let's just say I'm a veteran in the industry. I've been around for a long time, over 30 years in the business, and I've got a fairly nice watch collection. I have 3 children that have absolutely no interest whatever in watches, and so I have no one to bequeath them to. And as a consequence, I have no reason whatever to acquire more watches, but I can't help myself, And when I walked into the Tsar Bomba boutique in Puebla, in Mexico, the first thing I was attracted to was a display of about 80 different interchangeable bezels. And again, I felt like a child in a toy store, left alone myself to explore and whatnot. And I couldn't make up my mind. I finally ended up going with the red carbon fiber bezel, but it was a gleeful experience. It just took me right back to my youth, and no conscientiousness of the fact that I don't need more watches, but indeed I did. I bought another bezel. So.
Incredible. Can you buy the bezels and the crowns and everything separately?
Yes, you can. They're all available. But it's great because what happens is typically we sell the watch, comes with a set. So inside it, you'll have the watch head, 2 different bezels, 2 different color crowns, and 2 straps along with the deployant buckle. Sometimes there's a standard buckle, but typically with a deployant buckle. And it's a nice way to start your collection. So, you get the watch wardrobe in the box, and yeah, I think you'll get a lot of compliments on it. As I told you, with Formula One, PGA Tours, people walking up to me that I've never met before asking me, hey, what's that watch you're wearing? And where can I buy one?
Yeah, well, they certainly are striking, and I will take you up on the offer to visit the stand because I also enjoy this choice. I don't suffer from analysis paralysis as some people do. I like to have as many options as possible, and I can't wait to see what those options are. Guys, thank you for sitting down with me. Thank you for explaining a little bit about the brands and give us an insight into how it operates. It's been a real pleasure, and we'll get you back on the show in the future for a full hour-long episode to talk more about Tsar Bomba.
We'll look forward to that. Thanks to you. Thanks so much, Rob.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Oh, you missed a doozy here, Alan.
Why?
Tsar Bomba. Strange one. Absolutely bonkers. But interesting. Extremely interesting. I mean, firstly, the team. Great characters. Easy to talk to. Fully convinced by the product that they're creating. But it's a product that I think, from afar at least, will raise some eyebrows. I remember prior to us establishing this meeting, one that you unfortunately didn't get to sit in on, you were very skeptical about the watches and whether or not they were something that our audience would be interested in. And I was, to be honest, just curious, very, very curious about what we were seeing here, because quite openly, these watches are inspired by forms that we've seen from other brands, most notably Richard Mille. And it's impossible to get away from that fact. What we've got basically is an ultra affordable copycat, and people can like it. People can absolutely loathe it. People can be perplexed by it. But what are your thoughts on it from afar?
So, full disclosure, we got the request for them to come on the show because we're a media partner for Time to Watches. So I said to Rob, what do we do? A, do our listeners want to hear this? But Rob was very quick to answer, and rightfully so. We cover everything in the watchmaking ecosystem, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then I said, wait, but what about IP? These are copycats. He's like, so let's ask them. So I freaking regret not being there. I am very eager to wait and listen to the interview you've conducted, to hear what you've said. Now, the first question I would have is, how can you produce so low? Because you can have a Richard Mille copycat as low as 200 euros. And the second question I would ask them is, who actually buys these watches? And the third question would be, why are you coming to Time to Watches? Whereas I'm quite sure, hands down, they're the lowest priced brand there.
Well, I believe they're massive in Mexico to start with, so that's a market, one of the bigger and more emerging markets in the world, actually, along with India. India and Mexico are really up and coming ecosystems for watches. This is, a strange one. It takes the piss a bit, doesn't it? Really, I mean, when you when you see like what you can get for 200 euros, you're like, what? Why am I buying watches that cost anything over £1,000 when you can get something that wild and arresting and so on and so forth? And of course, there's lots of very good answers to that question, but your mind does sort of go there, like, how is it possible? How is it like literally possible for this to be in any way profitable for them to produce a watch like that? Because as much of a copycat as it is, it's not made of imagination or air. It's made of materials that you can hold and wear on your wrist, and it's robust enough to stand up to the rigors of daily life. It functions. It's mechanical. It's bonkers. Like it.
I stand corrected. I scrolled down on the website now. You have a AP Royal Oak concept watch copy for 163 euros and 95 cents.
I quite like that one.
Well,
quite good.
So as long as they didn't get sued or not going to get sued by Richard Mille, AP, and they have also a Roger de Brie hybrid, a Roger de Brie bezel married and Royal Oak concept case, if they didn't get sued and these brands don't have issues with these models existing, and that being said as a disclaimer, I think this is better than going to, I don't know what Grand Bazaar in the world and buying fake copies.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, so, but it's mad, isn't it? Like that's a tough intellectual exercise to put yourself through. It's like, well, what constitutes a fake, right? Is it a one-for-one replica that has the brand's name on it? Yeah, okay, I think we'd say that's a fake. This isn't, like you say, it's not a fake Audemars Piguet Royal Oak concept watch.
If they change 7 things, technically they could get away in an IP lawsuit.
I guess there are 7 things different about it. The subtle things. I mean, the reference material is patent. But this is the funny thing, right? So I had this meeting with Mark and I was thinking, okay, really nice dude. He believes in this brand. And he's been in the game a long time. So if he believes in it, there's got to be something. So this was one of the only times that I raced out of the Glass Igloo immediately after having the meeting and went to the stand to look at all the watches. I wanted to get them on my wrist. I wanted to feel the material quality or lack thereof of these pieces that are retailing for, between 160 and 1,500, 2,000 euros. And I have to say that they're pretty well made. Like, there's some stuff that they're doing that is extremely high end is maybe, but technologically advanced. And you get them on the wrist, and your brain doesn't really know what to do with what you're seeing. I think we could have multiple hour-long episodes about the question of what constitutes fakes or imitations or homages or pieces that honor the history or existence of another style. But all we can say is try and get one of these on your wrist. And if you've got no way of picking one up at a retailer, then maybe just take a flyer on one of the APs for 163 quid. I mean, it's that or another G-Shock, isn't it, really?
Indeed. And this begs an article by David Vaucher, because this is indeed an interesting topic. And did you by any chance ask him what the name means? Because the name Tsar Bomba is bombastic and actually cool sounding. But what does it mean?
Honestly, I'm not sure if I did. I think I was too distracted by the product and trying to get my head around what I was seeing and hearing, because it's certainly one that we pour over a little more. So let's get them on the show for a full episode, because they're open and communicative. They're not trying to hide anything. I think if they were trying to get away with something, they wouldn't have been quite so blatant about the style of the watches themselves. And I mean, it's a broad church watchmaking, isn't there? There's space for all sorts of people and all sorts of watches. And I think this is a testament to that fact. So let's pick up this conversation in the full hour-long episode with the folks from Tsar Bomba.